Intellectual honesty is vital if we want to avoid being fooled and believing things that are not true. It is likewise paramount to engaging in productive dialogue with those we disagree with. What is meant by intellectual honesty? A general definition might be an attitude towards problem solving and evaluating information that fairly deals with conflicting information in a way that minimizes the chance of bias. In the context of assessing scientific claims and evaluating competing explanations or facts about reality, there are a number of ways we can demonstrate intellectual honesty so as to maximize our chances of arriving at the most accurate perspectives about reality. I want to cover just a few that are central to a scientific worldview and skeptical approach to assessing claims. Before I do, let's keep in mind that most people throughout history were wrong about most everything they believed about the natural world. Yet, they were confident that most of their beliefs were true. In fact, it does appear that, to quote philosopher Derek Parfit, knowing and falsely believing are not different experiences. Moreover, most of us would admit that not all of our beliefs are true. Yet, paradoxically, when pressed on any particular one of our beliefs, we're pretty confident about it. Therefore, we need to implement some corrective mechanisms so that we don't fall down a cognitive black hole of confirmation bias. We need some heuristics or rules of thumb to live by in order to adequately entertain our own fallibility. First, if you actually want to understand a claim, you will go out of your way to interpret the claim in the most positive light that is plausible. This is called the principle of charity. If someone claims that genetically modified foods are safe to eat, our default assumption should be to assume that they actually think that, rather than that they're a paid corporate shill. Conversely, when dealing with those who reject established science, we can show respect for them as individuals by accepting they believe what they say and going from there, rather than assuming something derogatory about their intelligence. Closely related to the principle of charity is the value in steel-manning someone's different view. Whereas a straw man is a misrepresentation of someone's actual argument, to steel-man someone's argument means to represent the argument in a way that its proponent would agree with. That way, you are addressing the strongest version of a counter-argument or counter-claim and thus optimally positioned to make progress. To quote John Stuart Mill, "He who knows only his own side of the case knows little of that. His reasons may be good, and no one may have been able to refute them. But if he is equally unable to refute the reasons on the opposite side, if he does not so much as know what they are, he has no ground for preferring either opinion." This is something that all sides of an issue need to practice in order to be intellectually honest and thus to be able to successfully communicate. One of the cornerstones of the scientific process is falsifiability, the possibility that a hypothesis or theory can be proven false. If you cannot state the conditions under which any of your beliefs or claims about reality could be shown to be false, then you have no way of determining the validity of those beliefs. In other words, if we can't test a claim, we have no basis for accepting it. Thus, one of the best ways to ensure we have accurate beliefs about the world is to attempt to falsify our own beliefs. If they withstand careful scrutiny, that is, if we fail to falsify them, we can tentatively accept them. This is difficult to do because we all have an interest in many of the things we believe, and confirmation bias works in the direction of rejecting those ideas that contradict the ones we hold. In order to be able to falsify our beliefs, we absolutely must respect expertise. Most of us unthinkingly do so in our everyday lives. In general, we trust that the bridge we're driving over has been constructed to adequate engineering standards. We trust that when we need a tooth pulled, a dentist will be able to perform the procedure. We trust that a plumber will be able to fix a pipe leak. However, when it comes to certain scientific issues that our individual and group identities depend on, motivated reasoning kicks in and we often reject experts so that we can maintain our unsubstantiated beliefs. This is in play when we reject the scientific consensus on the safety and efficacy of vaccines, for example, and substitute our own non-expert opinions that are often merely informed from a few hours of Google searching or our personal experiences without the required technical training in the field. And lastly, respecting expertise means being aware of what the weight of evidence published in peer-reviewed academic journals points to. It's easy to find experts with quirky opinions on just about any issue. Most relevant is the consensus of such experts who actively engage in and publish research in a field. If we are to remain intellectually humble, we will default to this weight of evidence as a general rule of thumb. Before we close out this series on evaluating evidence, I will summarize some of the key differentiators between science and pseudoscience. Join me in the next video for that.